story is just, it's amazing to me, and it really came alive to me on a lot of different levels on yesterday. At the 28th chapter, the first verse, let me just kind of skip around and take thou unto thee. Let me back up. Moses is on a mountain having a conversation with God. Moses is the leader. He has went up the mountain to a higher place to hear from God. He is up there. God begins talking to him, and he starts talking to him about Aaron. Aaron was who he left with the children of Israel with, so he could go away and talk to God. And it says here, take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Verse 2, the B clause, for Aaron thy brother, let's just go to the beginning of it. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron. Okay, this is the part that's got me tickled, all right? You will make holy garments for Aaron, thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto the priest's office. Verse 4, and these are the garments that they shall make. So he's telling him, I'm getting ready to build this Aaron man a wardrobe. God is so into this wardrobe that he is building for Aaron. He says, I'm going to build him a breastplate, and I want an ephod, and I want a robe, and I want an embroidered coat. I want a mitre, I want a girdle, and they shall make holy garments for Aaron, thy brother, and his sons, that they may minister. He is saying, I'm reiterating that the reason I'm doing this stuff for you is because you're going to be used by me. Okay, so I'm going to make you a whole wardrobe. Verse 5, he says it's going to take gold. It's going to be blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen. Then it goes on down and says the ephod is of gold, of blue, of purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, and cunning work. And he goes on and down there and begins to describe. It's going to have 2 shoulder pieces. Therefore, those pieces are going to be joined together, and they're going to have 2 edges on them, and the curious girdle. I was always curious about girdles of the ephod, which is upon it, shall be the same according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, of purple, and scarlet. See, if you think God is a boring brown God, you have lost your mind. Okay, he goes on and he says, I want you to take 2 onyx stones, and I want you to engrave on. See, God is flashy. That's all I'm trying to say to you right now. God is flashy when it comes to clothes, all right? But he goes all the way down. He is still talking about this wardrobe. The ephod's going to have stones of a memorial. He says there will be ounces of gold. Verse 17 says it's set in settings of stones, sardis, topaz. I mean, he keeps going. And the second row, because he is going to have a second row, will have emerald and sapphire and diamond. The third row, he goes on and down. The fourth row, he's just going on. And I don't even have time to read to you about all of these things that he talks about for this wardrobe, all the way through that whole chapter. All right? So, now, go over a couple chapters to chapter 32. Verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, make up. They said to him, get up, make us gods that will go before us. And as for this Moses, this man Moses, listen, he done brought us out of the land of Egypt. And we don't even know what's happened to him. Where in the world is he? Verse 7, and the Lord said unto Moses, go get thee down, because thy people, at that point I would have said, wait, these are not my people. They are your people. God says, go down, go get down there, for the people, the ones you brought up out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. Verse 21, and Moses said unto Aaron, when he gets down there, he said, why? What did this people? What is going, in other words, what's happening here? What a mess this is. And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. In other words, don't get hot with me. You know the people. You know how they are. You know they set up for mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. And as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him. And I said to them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. And then I cast it into the fire. I just took gold and cast it into the fire. And when it hit the fire, it came out a calf. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on right here. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, why were they naked? For Aaron had made them naked. Oh, Aaron said it was them. But God said it was Aaron. And now they are naked under their shame among their enemies. One more passage, and you can sit down. Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22, beginning at the 31st verse. And the Lord said, some of y'all try to figure out right now, how in the world is she going to pull all of this together? Woo, but by the grace of God. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he might sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you. And I prayed, notice he didn't say I prayed that you don't fail. He said, I'm praying that your faith doesn't fail. I'm praying that your faith fail not. And when, this is all in that same verse, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy, I'm praying for you that your faith don't fail. And when thou art, it is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But when thou art converted, strengthen your brethren. When you get it together, turn around and help somebody else get it together. When you are straight, turn around and help somebody else get straight, okay? When you are converted, turn around and strengthen your brethren. Look to your neighbor on the right and say, neighbor, don't break the flow. Turn to your other neighbor, say, neighbor, don't break the flow. Lord, I thank you for this moment. I'm excited about your word. Let it speak to us. Let it jump off the pages and find us in all of our situations. Let it prepare us for what is ahead. Give us ears to hear. Give us a heart to receive. And we will thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. You may be seated on your way down. Hit somebody, tell them, don't break the flow. Tell somebody else, don't you be the one. Don't you be the one that breaks the flow. So for the last couple of weeks, I've come up here in the building during our construction, just to kind of walk around and see what all is going on. And it is amazing how we're working these workers right down I mean, just all the way even into Saturday. Some of them are working. But it is amazing to me how fast that they are able to turn this building around and make it what you see that it is today. If you look up here, I'm sure you will see dust, and if you go out there, you'll see dust, and you'll see remnants of our construction zone. But it is what it is because we are under construction. And you know, everybody is excited when you first share the vision of the construction. I mean, everybody gets excited, but that's before we get inconvenienced. We're excited before we're inconvenienced, okay? We're excited because we hear about things that are yet to come, but in the middle of it, there can come some frustration. And when we're shuffled off to an overflow, we can find ourselves frustrated. When we have to come early to get a seat in the sanctuary, just because we're under, when is this construction gonna be over? That's when all of that stuff starts happening. We're excited before we are asked to move out of our section that we've always sat in, and we have to move to another section. Church just don't feel right when you have to sit in another section. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're used to singing it from that angle. You're feeling it from that angle. And you don't want to sit over there. It takes you an hour before you finally lock in and realize that God is God, whether you're over here, whether you're over there, it doesn't matter, okay? But the reality of it is we're creatures of habit. And it's a mess. Change is exciting until you're in the middle of it. Look at somebody and say, but hold on, because we're coming out better. Hold on, because we are going to come out better. From the beginning, I told you, and some of our pastors have told you, that we should not be surprised if we started seeing that things in our lives and in our homes and in our businesses and in our families started going through a similar process as to what we are going through in this building, okay? So if you found yourself under construction at home, and maybe you didn't even plan for it, but don't be surprised, because your house of worship is under construction, okay? And if you feel like God has all of a sudden made your life be under construction, and what I'm gonna tell you about God, he never has to get a building permit. He will just take a ball and a crane and a chain, and he will wreck your life, permit or no permit. So if you feel like in the last couple months that God has just closed in on you and he's doing reconstruction in your life, don't think it's strange. Because that's usually what happens. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's a mess, but we're moving through it. We are. There's dust, there's debris, there's clutter, there's commotion. But the reason that I can endure the clutter and the debris and the commotion and all of those things is because I know what is waiting for us on the other side of progress. So if we will keep progressing, there is a blessing that's waiting for us, not just in this building, but in your life and in your walk with God. If you can keep progressing, there is a blessing that's waiting just on the other side. What are you saying, Pastor Brady? I'm saying that there is increase just beyond the mess, okay? Let me say it again. There is increase just beyond the mess. There is growth that is just beyond the mess. There's room for more that is just beyond the mess. There's room to stretch, to expand. There's room to enlarge. There's room to increase. There's room to evolve, and it's just beyond the mess. So don't underestimate us by looking at our mess, because we are moving towards something that is greater. It's messy, but we are making progress. We are making headway. we are on the move. It looks like your business is going under, but tie a knot and hold on, because we are just in the middle of construction. God is preaching a message to us out of all of the mess that we are in. So, have you ever had God to take your mess and turn it into a message? Let me say it like this. Have you ever had God take your test and turn it into a testimony? Oh my God. You don't feel like it when you're in the middle of it. But if you ever want to really be used by God in ministry, you have got to survive messy moments. Let me say that again. I said, and especially for everybody that's holier than everybody else, if you ever think that God is going to use you and your holy self in ministry, you have got to be able to go through and survive the messy moments in your life. And in my estimation, you're not really qualified to do the work of ministry until you've had a mess or two of your own that you've had to work your way through. Because your greatest ministry always comes out of the greatest messes in your, I said the greatest ministry, the finest oil always comes out of the finest crushings that you have went through in your life. Oh, always know that. That's why when you're in the middle of it and you feel like you're going to die, you have to tell yourself there will be glory after this. If you walk with God a while, you'll learn to do that. You'll learn that when you are when all hell breaks loose from every direction, you will learn, okay, God, okay, I see this. I know what this is. I know that you're about to do something in my life that you have never done before. So rather than charge you foolishly, I'm going to come to church and praise you hysterically, because I know I see the handwriting on the wall. This has the signature of God, on my life. I would say over the last, April will be 3 years that Bishop and I have found ourselves at the mercy of one medical appointment after another, and also at the mercy of medical professionals. And for the most part, most of them have been incredibly efficient, incredibly effective, incredibly kind, incredibly caring in what they have done for us. And I can always tell by how they handle him as to whether they themselves know what it is like to be a patient. I have discovered that most of them, thank God, have knowledge. But I've also discovered that the best ones are the ones that have learned how to blend their knowledge with their heart. Those are just things I've observed along the way. And most of the time, the way that they have learned to blend their knowledge with their heart is because either they themselves or somebody that they really, really love, they know what it is like to be in the shoes of the patient. So I can tell by the way that they handle him as to whether they know what it's like to feel the pain emotionally and physically that he is feeling. Everything that you need to know to be of service to anybody else, it does not always come just out of a book. Hello, you can read the Bible until you are blue in the face. But there is a whole side of ministry that even though you read the whole Bible, there's a whole side that you know nothing about. That's right. Because all you've done is read the letter, and the Bible says that the letter killeth. Come on. You can kill somebody with this word right here. But that's not enough. You have to be able to take the things that you've been through and mix your heart with all of the head knowledge that you have in order to be effective in ministry. Does anybody know what I'm talking about today? I don't want to be at the mercy of somebody that just has head knowledge. Okay, most of the stuff the people that have helped us and helped him, it came from a mixture of both of those things. So that being said, my question to you on this Sunday morning is that could it be possible that God has allowed you to go through the things that you have went through, to experience the things that your life's journey has taken you through? Could it be possible that you've had to face the things that you've had to face, and you've had to feel the things that you have had to feel because God wanted you to have more than head knowledge when it comes to helping other people? Is that possible? Could it be that sometimes he wants us to understand that destiny often incorporates our agony? Good stuff. So we're crying and praying and begging God to get us out of the agony, but it seems like he ain't doing it. Listen, if you have prayed and cried and believed and confessed the word over something and it don't move, it's cause it ain't supposed to move. Because when the Lord gets ready, it's gonna move. So sometimes I think we fail at understanding that our destiny will always incorporate our agony. Look at somebody and say, I believe that. Our greatest ministry always comes out of our greatest pain. And I actually, for one, think that it's one of the first qualifications for real ministry. You have to have the ability to be able to feel another person's pain. If you can't feel another person's pain, then I don't think you are qualified to be in ministry. So don't even try to sign up for FISM. Leave that seat empty. Leave it for somebody else. Because that part, somebody say that part. That part right there, we can't teach you. Only life teaches you. Only God teaches you. We can't teach you that. So, and I'm going to go on and say, whenever you see anybody that has a real deep well inside of them, whenever you see anybody that has a deep anointing in their life, whenever you see somebody that has a real deep connection with God, it is usually a sign that they have been through some very raw experiences in their life. If you see two people can sing the same song and one person sing it completely different than the other person, because the one over here that sings it different is the one that has had to cry, that has been through hell, that has to get back up over and over again. They've been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated, but some way, somehow, they find their way back into the presence of the Lord. And it is their situation, it is their trauma, it is their confusion, it is their pain that has qualified them to be a carrier of such glory and such anointing and such great power. You might watch somebody preach and think, I could preach better than that. Well, you might have more book knowledge than they do, but if they have a real glory on their life, it's because that I've been through things. Anybody that has a real empathy, anybody that has the capacity, somebody shout capacity. Anybody that has the capacity to feel another person's pain is because they've been there themselves. And it's hard to get people to respond appropriately to another person's pain when they have never felt pain like that themselves. They will always disappoint you. See, real ministry requires us to be sympathetic, but it also requires us to have empathy. Ask your neighbor, do you have any empathy? Look at him and tell him, you might be running low. That's why God is so careful when he goes to calling and choosing people. See, your friends might call you, your mama might call you, your daddy might call you. A lot of people might call you into ministry. But when God is choosing people for ministry, well, I'll tell you what God does. God, he doesn't look for you on Sunday morning on the front row. That's not where he chooses. The Bible tells us that when God chooses somebody, where does he choose them from? Do you know your Bible? He chooses them from the furnace of, thank you. He chooses them from the furnace of all y'all that are waiting to be chosen, you should have known that verse. You should have studied your Bible enough to say the furnace of affliction, because when God chooses somebody, he doesn't choose you from your divinity school. He chooses you he doesn't choose you from sitting out on the beach, just relaxing, just laying out there. Oh, I'm just waiting on God to choose me. No, God chooses people who are in the heat of the fire. He chooses people that knows what it is like to be. He doesn't snatch people from a pool of talent. He doesn't snatch people out of a pool of just giftedness. When God goes after somebody, he goes after people not because they have good connections or because they have that wonderful personality. Let me tell you something. When God chooses people, he goes right to the furnace of affliction, and he chooses people that have been through the fire, people that have been purged. Their mind has been purged. Their will has been purged. Any kind of agenda has been purged out of them. They have been refined by the fire. That's who God chooses. According to Zechariah 13:9, those are the people who will call on the name of the Lord and he will answer. Woo, do you hear that? Those that have been through the fire are the people that have real power in prayer, because they are the ones that will call on the name of the Lord and God hears them. God said, I will refine them like silver and I will test them like gold, and they will call on my name and I will answer them. I will say they are my people, and they will say the Lord is our God. So when God goes to choosing people, he picks people who have some skin in the game. Are you following me? Only those that have skin in the game are the ones that are qualified. He chooses those who have proven the genuineness of their faith. That is why I'm shocked when I read, and I'm surprised that he would pick Aaron to be a high priest. Come on. Listen, Aaron's first day on the job is a train wreck. You read it. I showed you a little bit of it. Moses going up the mountain to talk to God. He leaves Aaron in charge. When Moses comes back down off the mountain, woo, can you imagine what he thought? All of the children of Israel were naked. He done turned it into a strip club. The first day on the job. What in the world? And on top of that, they done made an idol out of their earrings and their gold. Yeah, see, that was always my argument back in the old church. They would say, you can't wear earrings, you can't wear gold. And I'm like, let me tell you, they got in trouble when they took theirs off. Yes. So Aaron has miserably failed. And if I would have been Moses, I would have fired him ASAP. But instead, God sends Moses down the mountain with a promotion to make Aaron the high priest. Okay, I got lots of questions right there. Because you're sovereign and you know all things and you know what he's doing down here. And you're still sending still sending Moses down with a promotion for Aaron. And on top of all that, you have planned his wardrobe. You've built him an entire wardrobe with stones and all. I read it to you. Made him an ephod out of fine linen, blue, purple, scarlet. I'm not going to go back into it all, but God was into this. Looks to me like God has made the wrong choice if I just take it at face value. Why would he pick Aaron to intercede for the sins of Israel when he's the one that's got him sinning? Why Aaron? Somebody say, why Aaron? And the only thing that I can say to them is that it may just be possible that when God is looking for someone who can bring the people's failures to him, he knew that he would have to have somebody who could relate to failure themselves. He knew he had to have somebody in there that could move beyond just being judgmental.
Yeah, right.
He needed somebody that would know what it was like to mess up. Listen, I would have fired him. If I leave Pastor Jeremy in charge, and I come back next Sunday and all y'all have no clothes on, and you are worshiping God like crazy, I would be like, where's Jeremy? I ain't even going to ask where Pastor Jeremy is. I mean, where's Jeremy? I would have fired him, but God promoted him. Not because of his failure, but in spite of his failure. Because man looks on the outer appearance, but God looks upon the heart. God knows that everybody from time to time will face messy moments on the road to their destiny. And the truth is, we cannot make progress without making a mess every now and then. I want all of these renovations to go away. I want that wall down. I want to look out there. I want to see the new seats that we have ready to go in back there. I want to see the dust cleaned up. I want all of it to go away. I want to be able for us to sit together right in here, take those that are in the overflow, pull them in here. I want all of it to happen, and I want it to happen now. But the truth is, if we're going to enjoy the new, we got to tear down the old. If you're going to enjoy the new you got to let God take his wrecking ball and tear down the old you. And you have to know, in between the old and the new, there will inevitably be a mess. Now, it's easy for somebody to walk in here and see the dust and the debris and say, it's easy for them to call it a mess. But while you call it a mess, we call it making room for. The difference between what you call it and what we call it is we are looking at it through a different lens. Are you following me? I said we're looking at it through a different lens. Could it be that you are looking at your life right now through an incorrect lens? Oh, Lord, I want you to hear me today. You could be the reason you feel overwhelmed, the reason you feel like everything is falling apart, the reason you are looking at your situation and calling it a mess and calling yourself a failure is because to you it looks like you are falling behind. You get further and further behind, but it could be that you are actually moving ahead. It looks like a mess around the potter's house north, but that's because you don't see where we are heading. It looks like a mess to you, but it looks like a blessing to me. Woo, look at somebody and tell them, I don't know what you see, but I see a blessing. It might look like a mess, but I am under construction. I said, I am under construction. God is doing a new thing in my life. And it's hard to imagine that right now. But I've got some things that might be out of place. I've got some dust where it usually isn't dust. My mind is a little confused. And I've had some disappointments along the way. And I've got some collateral damage that is all around me. And yes, my heart has been shattered. And yes, it looks like it's not going to be any good, but I want you to touch somebody and tell them, but I got a feeling that everything is going to be. Woo! I dare you to hit 3 people and tell them everything's going to be all right. Everything. It looks like it's over. It looks like a wrap. But God brought me here to tell somebody everything is gonna be all right. How do you know, Pastor Brady? Because the Holy Ghost done told me. I said the Holy Ghost told me somebody ought to give him a praise that says I believe everything is gonna be all right. Okay, sit back down for a minute. You have got, this is for somebody, and I don't know who, but you have got to be able to see progress in spite of the mess. It's hard, but you got to be able to see it. If these walls could talk, these walls will be like, what are they slapping up on me? It's pain. Why are they putting pain on me? Wasn't my pain good enough? What have I got to change? Why ain't it that wall that's changing? It's dusty around this place. I'm tired of the disruptions. Whenever there's construction, there's always going to be disruption. I'm tired of having limited access. I can only walk here. I can only go there. It's inconvenient. I'm tired of being delayed. But sometimes construction demands for us to have to face delay. Oh, and can I talk about the unexpected cost? It's not what we put in the budget. It's not what you told me. It's way different than what y'all must have never built nothing in your life. There's unexpected cost. My normal is gone. I want to come to my normal church and sit in my normal seat with my normal circle. And although, we people are losing it. And all the while, God, who is the general contractor, is saying, just trust me. Trust me in your home. Trust me on your job. Believe in me. Believe if I began a good work in you, that I will be faithful to complete rest in me. For he that shall come will come, and he will not tarry. Cast not away your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. For yet a little while, tell somebody it's just a little while, and he that shall come, he will come. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan had desired to have you, that he might sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith fail not. Now your feelings may fail. And you may get tired of feeling like smiling. And you might get tired of feeling like praising him, when it looks like things in your construction zone are not straightening out. But in those moments, that is where you can't be anchored into your feelings. At that moment, you got to be anchored into your faith, because it is your faith that he prayed for. He didn't pray for your feelings. Y'all better hear me today. He prayed for your faith. So if you are going to be able to remain stable in your emotions when your life is under construction, you have got to be anchored in your faith. How do I do that? Number one, you have to know. You have to know that whatever happens, God is for you. Do you know that? See, I really think I am his favorite. And I'm not just saying that. I think that. So that makes me know that no matter what comes my way, I might react, but in a minute I'm going to be calming right back down. Because I know that I'm his child. And I know what he said he would do in my life. And so I know if what I'm going through doesn't go away, when it's all said and done, it will work together for my good and for his glory. You have to know when all hell is breaking loose that God is for you. Even when it feels like everything in your life is against you. God is, I dare you to put your hand on your chest and say, God is for. Put your name in there. Sheryl. Say it again. God. Say it louder. You may not be for me, and you may not be for me, and you may not be for me, but I ain't fixing to lose no rest over you. You argue, because at the end of the day, God is fighting for us, pushing back the lighting of the kingdom that cannot be. You've got to know that Romans 8:28 is your promise that all things will work together for your. So if you're going to survive, if you're going to survive the renovations of your life, You have got to operate and you've got to function, not from the perspective of, oh, this is a mess. But you have to operate and function, live, move, and have your being from the perspective of, I'm making progress. It might be slow. I'm not where I want to be, but you know what? I'm not where I used to be. And so I'm going to give God praise. I'm going to make progress and then praise. I said I'm going to make progress and then praise. I'm going to make progress and then I'm going to make praise. Woo! Y'all are helping me today. And when the enemy comes in and says, your glass is half empty, but you got to look at it and say, yeah, but guess what? It's half full too. You have to tell the enemy, my glass looks half empty to you, but it looks half full to me. Touch somebody and say, what are you looking at? How are you looking at it? When you change your perspective, it changes everything. And God said, tell my people to change their perspective. The man on the Jericho road was been beaten. He had been robbed. He had been left half dead. Woo! But that preaches right there. Because if he was half dead, tell somebody he was still half alive. And the part of him that was half alive started fighting the part of him that was half. Have you ever got in a fight with yourself? God ain't gonna see you through. He's gonna fail you. No, he's not gonna fail me. He is a faithful God. Woo! I'm gonna hold on to his unchanging hand. I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. The part of that man that was half alive said, you know what? I've been through worse than this, and I made it out. And the same God tell three people, the same God, the same God, the same God that brought you out of that is going to bring you out of this. That part of him that was half alive said, I got too much to live for, to lay here and die. Help has got to be on its way. Look at somebody and say, help is on the way. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for it to jump in your spirit. Help is on the way. I was on an elevator the other day and I saw a sign and it said, when this sign lights up, it means help is on the way. And they put that in there so the person didn't just have a heart attack and die because they felt like they were alone. They want you to know that if you are stuck, help is moving in your direction. Hit somebody and tell them you will come out of this. I refuse to quit. Help is on the way. I refuse to add additional stress. help is on the way. I'm not going to let this kill me. I'm not going to let my imagination drive me insane. Help is coming for me. Turn to your neighbor and say, how you talk to yourself really matters. I said, how you talk to yourself. You sit as the watchman on the wall of your mind and tell those thoughts, get out. You are trespassing. You cannot come in here. I refuse to hear you. I refuse to see you. I refuse to speak those words. Grab somebody and tell them, be careful how you talk to yourself. Careful. Careful. I can't help but think about the woman that had the issue of blood. For 12 years, she went from one doctor to the next doctor, to the next doctor, took all of her money, and she could not get any better. But she made a decision one day. Look at somebody and tell them, you gotta make a decision. She made a decision to stop looking at her condition and start looking at her position. She made a decision to start moving toward a new position. And where did it start? It started in her mind. She could have stayed there and rehearsed the problem. She could have stayed there and tried to get people to feel sorry for her. She could have stayed there and said, I've given it up. I've spent 12 years of my life. She could have stayed there and rehearsed every doctor's appointment and everything that she missed and everything that she lost in those 12 years. But she decided to get in. Push somebody and tell him, excuse me, but I'm in the press. I'm in the press. That's why I worship like I worship. That's why I praise like I praise. I know it bothers you, but I am in the press. I'm in the press. Listen to me. If that woman if that woman or if you continue, if she had chosen to continue to rehearse her condition and feel sorry for herself, she would have died. But the thing that saved her life was not just the power that she tapped into, but it was the pain that she decided to disconnect from. It wasn't just the fact that she touched Jesus. It was the fact that in her mind, she said, I've had enough of this. And she disconnected from the pain. Instead of talking about how bad things were, she started saying, go read your Bible and study it. She started saying, if I may but touch, 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 if I may but touch. Where do you hear her talking about? It's been 12 years. If I may but touch, if I can just touch him, if I can get to the hem of his garment, I don't even have to touch him. I can touch something that's touching him. If I may but touch. She changed her entire perspective, which caused healing to flow from Jesus to her without him ever touching her. She got a miracle behind his back. He did not even know who touched him. He didn't even know who got it. Because when it was all said and done, he said, who touched me? Look at somebody and say, who touched him? Who touched him? Who touched him? Who touched him? He didn't touch her. She decided to reach for him. She didn't even have to touch him. And it was so profound that he said, go your way. He didn't say, I made you whole. Y'all ain't helping me. He said, go your way because don't underestimate your faith. He said, your faith has made you whole. Do you realize that what you are facing right now, you have the power to come out of it by what you say to your Stop talking to yourself about what you didn't get. Stop talking to yourself about what your mama didn't leave you, about what your daddy didn't leave you, about what your spouse didn't do for you, about what your brothers and sisters didn't do. Stop complaining about your kids not doing this and not doing that. Start telling them what they're doing right. If you might just get a result that you've never had before because you tapped into a power that you've never tapped into before. He said, who touched me? That miracle left his body and he didn't even know who got it. Wow. She got a miracle behind his back. He knew when it left him, but he didn't know where it went. If he did, then why did he say, who touched me? The disciples were like, man, Master, look, there are multitudes of people around you. Everybody is touching you. We are touching you. Jesus said, no. You might have brushed up against me, but you didn't touch me. churches around the world today who go in and brush up against Jesus, but they miss out on miracles because they have failed to touch him. Look at somebody and tell them, don't be so easily satisfied. The sad thing is people get up in the morning, they go to church, they go through all of the motions, they even brush up against the presence of God, but then they go back home without their need being met. And guess what? They are okay with it because they'd rather have a casual relationship with their faith than have a crawling in desperation relationship that would move them from a mess to a miracle with God. Listen, the death angel had to back up off that woman. I said the death angel had to back up off that woman because of how she decided to change the way that she talked to herself. You might be looking at a situation today that is really messy in your life, and sometimes it really is. But I came to tell you that you can turn your mess into a miracle if you will just keep on living long enough to survive. Look at 3 people and tell them, I will survive this. Pull them, yank them, snatch them, tell them I will. Survive. And I'm not talking about hype, and I'm not talking about you just saying it just to try to pump yourself up. I'm talking about there is a real power that you tap into when you shift your perception. Listen, I gotta wrap this up right here. But listen, oftentimes, so good, Pastor, when we read that text in Luke, we only read the first half. And then people get happy and get excited, and preachers get excited, and that's where we hang our nail. Simon, Satan desires to have you that he might sift you as wheat, but I prayed for you that your faith. Look at somebody and say, hold on to your faith. But now look back at that same person and tell him, but there's so much more to the story. The reason that he prays for Simon's faith not to fail is because there's another part in that verse. And the other part of that verse says, when you are converted, strengthen thy brethren. The sign that you have really been converted is that you have the ability to turn around and strengthen somebody else. The sign you've been converted is when you have the power to take what happened for you and turn around and make it happen for somebody else. That is why it is not good for you to just run into the church when you are in a crisis. Ooh, I gotta talk to somebody right now. I'll be there Sunday. I'll be there Sunday. I'm in a crisis. My family's falling. All of that. You can do all of that right there. And then you come into church, things ease up and get better. And then you turn around and walk back out without strengthening anybody. And listen, if you get the gift and then decide to walk away and leave the giver, you will eventually run out of the gift. The prodigal son did. He said, I don't need my father. I just need my father's stuff. Give me the portion and falleth to me. He gets the gift. He leaves the giver. And then he gets out there, spends all of his money on riotous living. And it was only then that he began to realize that the giver was way better than the gift. Listen, you don't get delivered so that you won't need the deliverer. You don't get healed just so you will never need the healer again. You don't get saved just so that you can say, I don't need the Savior anymore. You don't get blessed so you can walk away from the blesser. No, Jesus says, when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. I came and I chose you, Aaron, out of your mess. I rescued you out of your mess. And I did it so that you could help other messy people. Listen, everybody at some point in their life will find themselves in a mess. Rich folk, so stop hating on people that are rich. Poor folk, educated, uneducated, white, black, brown, red, whatever. Young folk, even old folk, make messes. It'll be a different mess. It might not look like your mess, but it's a mess nonetheless. Because nobody, preacher, pastor, deacon, elder, bishop, servant leader, first-time visitor, nobody escapes messes in life. So stop feeling sorry for yourself. Just because it looks like that your neighbor across the street never has a mess, because that is not so. Look at somebody and be honest and tell them, my life is messy too. But when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. When you are converted, that means stabilize somebody else. Help somebody else get up. Help somebody else get out. Help somebody else get through their loss. Help somebody else overcome the grief that is trying to kill them. God, you know what God is saying? He's saying, listen, I will get it to you if I can get it. And I know we believe that when it comes to money. We know that money is currency. And we know that money has got to move and money has got to flow. But most of us are smart enough to know that when you break the flow, you lose the power that comes with the money. I don't care whether you're talking about a global economy, a national economy, a local economy, your household economy. It only survives through movement. Somebody do that right there. It only survives through movement. Stagnation stops the flow, and it becomes a detriment to any organization. We know that about money, but do we know that about mercy? Do we know that about mercy? Do we know that God will give you mercy if he can get it through you? The Bible said, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain. When you give mercy, you get mercy. God is saying, if I can get you to help somebody else, if I can get you to hug somebody else, if I can get you to love on somebody, if I can get you to believe in somebody else, if I can get you to care about somebody, if I can get you to speak words of encouragement to somebody else, the more you give all of that away, the more I will give it back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But the moment that you decide to break the flow and start making everything about you, you lose the ability to receive the very thing that you need yourself. Because in order to receive it, you got to give it away. Look at somebody and tell them you got to give it away. If you want friends, you have to be friendly. If you want attention, give attention. If you want a smile, give a smile. For whatsoever a man, that shall he also. It's hard not to smile when somebody smiles at you. You know it's hard. So as we leave today, or we'll get prepared to change the service, if you are not getting something back to you, you must ask yourself, did I break the flow? Did I get what I wanted and then refuse to give any of it away? Did I stop giving mercy? Did I stop being kind? Did I stop caring? Did I stop showing love? Let me tell you about love, Pastor. I showed that man love. I cooked his dinner. I washed his clothes. I stood by him. I was there for that woman. I helped her get through school. I did everything I could do. I showed them love. Just an FYI. You may not always get it back from where you gave it. But I tell you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, you will get it back. Look at your neighbor, tell him, don't mess the flow up. Don't mess up the flow. Don't mess up the flow. Your money gets in trouble when you break the flow. Your marriage gets in trouble when it becomes a one-way street. Your family gets in trouble when you break the flow. Your business, your ministry, your dreams, your desires, it all gets in trouble when you break the flow. And when what you got all stops with you, you are breaking the flow. And you break it because you got it, but you didn't give it. Blessed are the merciful, but they shall obtain mercy. And when thou art converted, take the strength that you've got and give it to your brethren. Just reach over and touch somebody one more time. Tell it, keep it flowing, keep it flowing, keep it flowing. Come on, keep it flowing in the back. Keep it flowing, keep it flowing. Come on, keep it flowing, keep it flowing, keep it moving. Keep it moving, keep it circulating. Keep it. Why? Because God blesses givers. Keep it giving. Keep on giving. Keep it. He blesses all kinds of givers. Givers of love, givers of time, givers of mercy, givers of talent, givers of opportunities. You get an opportunity and you make another room for, you make a place for somebody else to have an opportunity. Givers of wisdom, givers of resources, givers of, y'all have already stopped the flow. Tell somebody, keep it going, keep it moving. Whatever area of your life that you are struggling in, you break the flow. And the way you break the flow is by refusing to just hold it all inside. Because when you do that, you can no longer receive. You can only hold so much. You want me to take that notebook? Oh, I wish I could, but my hands are full. That notebook's much more valuable than all this other stuff in my hand. But I ain't got room to receive it now because I refuse to let things flow in my life. Stand all over the building with me. Please don't move. Listen, let me tell you something about the enemy. He does not have the power to curse you. Okay? He can't do it. The only hope that he has, as far as messing you up, is to hope that you make decisions that cause you to curse yourself. He can't curse you. But if I can influence you enough, I'll tell you, you better stop being so generous. You better stop paying your tithes. You better stop giving. You better stop doing. You better stop smiling at people. You better stop opening your home. You better stop taking people to dinner. You better stop. Look at somebody and tell them, don't break the flow. Jesus says, if I bless you, I mean for you to bless somebody else. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me. If I give to you, it's because I mean for you to give it to somebody. If I open a door for you, it's because I want you to open a door for somebody. If I make a way for you, I'll expect you to make a way for somebody else. If I am an answer to your prayer, then I expect you to be an answer to somebody else's prayer. And if I sow it into you, it's guaranteed to come back to me. Why? Because every time you give a smile, it's sad that preachers have reduced this scripture down to money, because that's where our mind always goes. But every time you give on any level, what you do is you increase your capacity to get. Do y'all hear me today? And it might just be that you are stagnant in different areas of your life because you've ran out of capacity. And all it's going to take is repentance from dead works and a decision that says, Lord, if you bless me, I'll bless you back. I'll bless somebody. Woo! Look at your neighbor and tell them, listen, come on, get some authority about you. Look at them. Tell them, listen here. You need to give something away. Come on now, I said you need to give something away. Go in your house and pull out them clothes. Clean out that pantry before that food expires. Come on, tell everybody. You need to give something away. Give it away. Give it away. Comfort one another with the same comfort that you have been comforted. Aaron, I forgave you so that you could know how to forgive others. You will have a grace for others, Aaron, because you will always remember the grace that I had for you. Y'all, that's why I can't hold a grudge. I can't. I'll be so mad at myself because I'm like, no, absolutely not. I ain't saying a word. I ain't saying another word to them. No, I'm not. I'm through. I'm through. Hey, how you doing? Because I'm scared. Y'all hear me? I'm scared. God has been so good to me. He's been better to me than I deserve. And I cannot hold a grudge against anybody. I can't put my foot on anybody's neck because God did not have to do it for this girl right here. But he did. So I can't be stingy. I can't be stingy because I wouldn't have anything if he hadn't given me everything. Woo. Come on, clap your hands and thank him right. Don't you be stingy with your praise right now.